and welcome to the Smoke Break. Give it up for yourselves for being here. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. We are live here at the Haymaker. I am so excited. Give it up for Dave and Nick, our bar staff. They've been providing the space, providing the treats, providing the drinks. So there's actually a big announcement for this episode. This is actually our last episode on Shady Pines Radio and Pretty Dope Experience Radio. Aw, I know. There we go. Yeah. Make sure you do that into the microphone because I need them to know they're sad it's happening.
We need cue cards. Aw.
Yeah. All together. But we're actually going to be continuing the show as a live show for the next couple months, just as a monthly live show. So, yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of it. The smoke break's been really important to me. It aligns with a lot of my core values of just listening to people, understanding and being understood. So this episode, we're actually going to be talking about core values. All right? You excited? Let's talk about it.
The important things.
All right. So core values. What does that personally mean to you?
Me?
Yep, Taylor.
You're looking at me. So
I'm looking directly at you.
Okay. Core values I think are just like the things that you operate around almost unintentionally. Like the things that go into 99% of your behaviors, especially when you're being your most authentic self. Like for me, it's like patience, and that goes a lot further than just like time, not just like being patient, but just like being patient with yourself, being able to like give yourself the room to grow and give yourself the room to like reflect on your mistakes, your growth, and what that even looks like for you.
Definitely. I think that's really good just because it allows you to like understand that like if this is where I'm coming from, are the things that I'm doing aligning with the things that I'm trying to do?
Yeah. It gives yourself the room to understand if you are even like aligning with yourself and the opportunity to like reflect appropriately. For sure.
Jasmine, what about you? What do core values mean to you personally?
The thing I was thinking about in the car on the way here was just the idea of like being curious instead of assuming, because I feel like it's really easy. This is a mental health podcast. I have a rotten brain. It tells me bad things all the time. It says mean stuff mostly, and so the idea of being curious and trying to kind of like tease out whether the bad thing it's saying is potentially accurate or not, instead of just assuming that it is accurate. But that also goes for other people. So if like I have a bad interaction with somebody at a bus stop, at work, or whatever, potentially being like, is that because I'm a terrible person that should like fall off a cliff, or is that because that person had a really bad day? So trying to get like the full story before assuming the things my brain says are accurate, because I certainly hope not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I can very similarly agree to that. What about you, Zoe?
Yeah, I think part of like what you said, Taylor, like I think your core values kind of like, well, they help you like figure out if you're in alignment with the things that are most important to you, and they're kind of like guideposts for like staying in tune with yourself. And I think often like when something doesn't feel right or when something feels off, checking in with your values and figuring out if you are in alignment with them, or if you've even figured out what they are, is like a really important way to figure out if you're approaching something from a standpoint that feels good and why. And if it doesn't feel good, that might be why. Also, some people don't even know what their core values are. So I think just like thinking about what they are. Yeah. And I think also like when you like, if you love something and it starts to get frustrating or stressful, it's always a really good way to remember like, why do I do this? And then you can remember I love it. And sometimes you lose sight of like why you love things or why things are important to you. And I think values, I think they're
help establish that. Definitely. Yeah. I think for me, like when it comes to like core values, I think the importance is, it's the why, like I feel like on the days where I'm like really struggling, I'm having a really difficult time. And, it's like, I ask myself the question, why am I doing this? And I feel like that's a really important question. And if you can't answer that question, then it's easy to lose sight of the reasons why we do things. So I think that's super important. So all of us, we work in mental health. I'm just kind of curious, like what are the ways that your core values aligned with work in mental health?
You asking me again, Michael?
I'm asking whoever puts the mic to their first.
Asking the stage. Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, like I said that my main core value is like patience, and I think that goes a lot into like that can branch out into a lot of a lot of other things. If you're patient with people, you can start to understand them a lot more. You can give them the room to even understand themselves a lot more. And working in the mental health field with people that are struggling specifically, it's given me the opportunity to understand why they're struggling, what the struggle even looks like for them, because it's vastly different for everybody. I think the best metaphor I can give is like the peanut allergy. You know, some people can operate around peanuts just fine, but some people have to go to the hospital if they're around them. So I think that if you apply that to other things like trauma, some things might be traumatizing for other people and might not affect anybody, or might not affect you in nearly the same way. But giving somebody the patience and the room to explore what that would even look like for them, the things that affected them specifically, and just talk about them and like work through them, and even just like say things that they didn't even necessarily mean to say, and go back and reflect, oh, like I didn't mean that. What I meant to say was, you know, something completely different, but the opportunity to just put it on the table and kind of piece together the puzzle that their brain has scrambled, you know, that's really important for me to be able to provide that for people, and that's given me the room to do that for myself too.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Jasmine, what about you? How do your core values kind of align with your work?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's the obvious stuff of like just like being curious about people and getting more information before assuming that I know what's going on with somebody. And in my day-to-day work, I feel like that makes a lot of sense. But I guess I was trying to think of it like even like extrapolating it to a bigger picture. I do a lot of looking on the internet, which we should stop doing because people are very in there.
Stop it.
And especially the way that people are treating or talk about people that are homeless and people who use drugs and people who have mental health stuff or all of the above makes me want to do bad things to other people.
Fair.
Because it makes me very, very, very mad. And I wish that other people had the ability to kind of like come at it with some curiosity, so they had like a full picture before they make all of these like giant assumptions. But I think it makes me be able that level of curiosity and not assuming that I understand where somebody's coming from until I get more information makes me less mad at people. It makes me like not assume that people are coming from a bad place. It makes me assume that people are doing their best. I think that all of us are doing, for the most part, people are doing their best with what they have and the information they had at the time, except that people aren't trying to also gain more information. And so, you maybe you made the best assumption you could at the moment, but like you should really try and like learn more before you have like a hard stance about something. And I understand that's not what the internet is about, and I should stop looking at it. But in general, I really wish people would take some more time to like be curious before they decide that like homeless people are terrible, or like people that are on the streets, and we're helping them, we're enabling them if we're nice to them. And I would like them all to shut up.
No, that's fair. That's definitely fair. I like that. I especially just, something that like you kind of taught me early on was just kind of like coming from a place of like not knowing, and it's like that's something that's very important to me, because I feel like oftentimes when we do get upset, it's because we think that we know. We're just like, this person did this because this reason that I think, and I'm positive that's why. And I think just coming from
unless you're wrong.
Yeah, which I'm not. But yeah, I've always just kind of like appreciated like your stance on, and why you do it. So thank you so much. Zoe, what about you? How do your values align with like your work in mental health?
Yeah, I agree with Jasmine that I think that like generally most people are,
because I am also right all the time.
Yeah, because Jasmine's always right. But I generally believe that like most people are doing the best they can, and that if we like, I really like to come at it from like a systemic perspective, like understanding the systems that impact our life and like the structural oppression that we are experiencing and like our position in the world because of those things. I think as someone who helps people with it works in mental health, I think it's really important for people to understand all of those aspects before being like, what's wrong with me? Because if you're just like, what's wrong with me? And you don't look at those things, there's a lot of shame that you have to sort through. And I think a lot of that shame can be removed if you look at it from like the big picture of all the systems we're impacted by. And then you can really like sort out like, what do I actually feel shitty about? And what do I feel shitty about because it's been put on me? It's a real big relief when you can let go of a lot of that shit. And that was like part of how I kind of got to my better place with my mental health. So I think I just would like to share that perspective with people. And a lot of people don't have access to that perspective too because of those positions in life. So I think that's also like, if you do have access to that information, sharing it with people and helping them understand their experience is like, that's really important to me.
Yeah,
it's really hard to just like drown in the shame too, because you can get to a point where you're just like accepting it, like I just suck. This just sucks, and I just suck, and it sucks because I suck. And so like being able to kind of slowly peel back the layers on that and getting through shame is really important to get into like the root of your values and the and the issues and how to navigate all that.
Mm-hmm. And like every system is kind of like set up to make you feel like shit.
It literally is.
Make you feel like whatever it is your fault.
Yeah. Intentionally. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very convenient for like I mean, all the things like the supremacy and the capitalism and all the
the
things
fun
that we
stuff.
talk about. Yeah.
No, I think, for me, the way that like my core values align would just be, I'm just going to say this. So my high school psychology teacher is here today, right there at this table. Can you give it up for this gentleman right here. Made me feel like I wasn't alone, and that was something I felt for a very, very long time. And it wasn't until I went into that class and he started explaining the systems and all of the things that kind of lead us to feeling the way that we do about ourselves. It just gave me so much clarity, and I think that like once I understood why I felt the way that I felt, it made me want to give that same clarity to the people around me. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yes.
My high school psychology teacher was super mean.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense. I had a really bad mental health crisis and came into class with like a hospital bracelet on my wrist one time, and she was like, "If you miss class again," and just like started grilling me about shit. And I was like, "Are you sure you should be teaching psychology?" Like,
You have psychology in high school? How did I miss that?
Yeah.
My mom's like, you should have taken that class.
It was all like Freud and shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it was somebody having compassion for me, because I remember when I was struggling. I had lost my best friend in a car accident. I was using drugs at the time. I was really struggling, and I just had somebody who saw me for who I was. They saw me for not my struggle. They saw me for, they saw past that. They're just like, you are a person who's struggling. You are a person who's very smart, but because of the situation that you've been handed, you're reacting reasonably to an almost unreasonable situation. So it's like, I think that kind of compassion that we can offer to each other is extremely important. So thank you for being the first one to do it, so that way I can do it for these folks. Yeah, I appreciate you. Love you too. But yeah, so like core values are super important. How do you revisit them when you feel like you might be getting, maybe bogged down by whatever's bogging you down?
Something I think is like sometimes if you notice, like if you can notice your like physical like when you're elevated in some way, like your heart's beating or whatever. I think that's a way to know. Like if you're feeling anxious, I think it's often a time to be like, what's going on here? Curiosity, is a big part of it, but also part of it could be like maybe there's something out of alignment here, and often it can have to do with like our core like purpose or reason for doing something is off, or we've forgotten what it is. So I think like noticing in your body when you feel anxious or even just depressed or just a strong emotion, like checking in with yourself where it's coming from, what it means, and like maybe if there's something out of alignment.
That's a particularly difficult time to do that too. When you're like elevated and just heated in the moment, it's exceptionally difficult to like reflect, because it's hard to not get tunnel visioned on that
true.
anger and frustration. So being patient with yourself to be able to do that is really important.
I was gonna say noticing and then like giving yourself time to like try to get regulated and then be curious. You're right. It probably is a better because like we need space to like sit with it, figure out what's happening, chill out, and then be curious. Probably is a better process. Yeah.
What about Taylor? What about you, Taylor? How do you revisit your core values?
I think we all kind of touched on what I was or what I'm about to say, but like analyzing why the things that escalated you, and that anger and frustration comes from a place. I heard one time that like anger is the emotion that loves you the most because it wants to protect you, and that's a hard puzzle to like put together, because it's really easy to view anger as just like a destructive force, and it very often can be. But when you're able to kind of separate yourself from that anger and look at it under a microscope, it'll start to make a lot more. At least it did for me. It made a lot more sense as to like why I was angry, because I felt like there was an intense injustice in the situation, and there was just a lot of unfairness or manipulation, and I had to really get down to my core values of like being transparent and being honest and being patient with people, and that navigating that was not an easy process.
Sure. Jasmine, what about you?
I think the main thing that I end up doing a lot at work is that it's like this like zoom in and out thing. So when I am feeling very overwhelmed by the system and the bigger systems, I try and zoom in really, really far. And so I'm like, okay, I cannot I don't have any power over all of these things, but what I do have power over is that I can like give this person in front of me a pair of socks and a sandwich, and I can be very nice to them, and they can take a nap under my desk while I do paperwork for half an hour, and I have power and control over that, and improving the quality of this person's afternoon, and all of like my values can be like carried out in that way, even if all of the other stuff is still total like on fire trash. And then sometimes when the interaction I'm having right in front of me is actually like very overwhelming, and the person is maybe being like very mean because they're having a very hard time. In those moments, that's where I have to zoom really far out and be like, honestly, like in this moment, like this moment won't matter. Like I got to zoom way out on like the bigger scale of like, this is going to be like a grain of sand in my entire life. Which makes me feel a little bit better when I'm feeling overwhelmed. And just like in general at work, sometimes I will do this like silly exercise in a group setting when I like facilitate a team meeting or whatever, of just like asking people directly of just like, why did you get involved in the work in the first place? And having people go around one by one and just be like, this is the work, blah, blah, blah. It's so tiring. But like the reason I got into it in the first place is, and almost all of those stories are like, powerful and meaningful, and it brings up all of their stuff, and it kind of like automatically reconnects the wires so people feel a little bit less distant from those values and why they're in there, even if that day is particularly terrible.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate
and
that.
you, Zane?
And me, Zane, I would say it's basically, it's revisiting that why, because it's like if I don't know why the hell I'm doing it, then it can seem like I'm failing. But if I know why I'm doing it, like if I say my goal was to make a bunch of money, or my goal was to save people, and I feel like I didn't save somebody or I didn't make enough money, then it's easy for me to like internalize it and feel like I'm failing. But if I say the reason I did this is because I want to connect with people, I want to give somebody who didn't have a friend, I want to, offer support in a way that I felt like I didn't receive it, then I can see myself succeeding in a different way. So yeah, thank you for asking. All right, we're gonna take a real quick commercial break and we'll be right back. And we are back with a smoke break. So this next part is something that you kind of talked about a little bit on the last one, overwhelm. Who here gets overwhelmed? Who here gets overwhelmed? 1, 2, only 2 people. No, I'm kidding. No. It's a pretty common thing, right? I'd say we've all been overwhelmed. For me, when I get overwhelmed, I become not the version of myself that I want to be. Is that kind of...
Same, yeah.
Yeah. I think... Go ahead, Taylor.
I was just gonna say that's when like tunnel vision and like anger can like really start to make itself, like pop up in the worst times, because I feel like those are times where you definitely need to be more patient and lenient with yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed, and being willing to like take a step back.
Yeah, you can pretty much guarantee you're not thinking straight when you're overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, and it's hard to realize that you're not thinking straight when you're not thinking straight.
Yeah, definitely.
And just the idea that overwhelm is like a personal failure. Like, like it's my fault. Of course it's me. Like I'm the one that fucked up by being overwhelmed by this. Everybody else will be able to handle this set of circumstances so great.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that can't do it. No matter how unrealistic I know that is.
Yeah, but I appreciate you even saying that, because I think like a lot of times I do feel overwhelmed. I'm like thinking from an outside perspective of like somebody who's not me would be handling this better.
Yeah, how many times have you expressed being overwhelmed and somebody's like, why are you overwhelmed? You should totally have a handle on all that. They're usually like, I'd be totally
Which
overwhelmed.
does not help.
That's what I mean. But if somebody does say that.
I'm right. I was a piece of shit about not being able to handle this. Awesome.
Thank you for validating.
No, you're right though. Usually when you feel overwhelmed, other people are like, yeah, no wonder you're overwhelmed when you tell them all the things you're trying to do.
Definitely. So like, how do you check in with yourself and make sure that you're not getting overwhelmed?
Usually takes me a day or two, to be completely honest. That's not something that like I said, it's hard to recognize that when you're in it, and so I just kind of have to accept that, like, oh, this is not the vibe right now. Maybe it'll die down, and I can't act on this too much right now. You kind of go into like survival mode, and you just have to make sure that you're eating, sleeping, and drinking water at the very least, and then hopefully it'll die down a little bit to the point where you can navigate it and piece it back together and become the version of yourself that you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Jasmine?
I kind of don't. That's maybe the problem.
That's how it happens.
Yeah.
Is I wasn't checking.
I mean, the thing that keeps coming up for me is that like all the things that I get the majority of the things that I get overwhelmed by are things that I also want to do. So like it's
oh, damn you. Dropping truth bombs.
I try. It's like stuff that I want to do. Like I want to sign up for this show. I want to go on this trip. I'm going to do this project that are all really fun things that I'm totally invested in and I want to accomplish. And also I'm so tired and I would like to not do anything or leave my house or talk to people ever again, even though my entire existence is based on talking to people like incessantly all the time.
All the time.
And like I don't know how to not do those things, because as soon as I like pull back and I'm like, well, that's overwhelming. I'm just not going to do so many things. I'm just like, why would I overcommit myself? And I pull back and I'm like careful. And then I'm like, oh, but I really wish I was doing more. Why don't people invite me to do shows more often?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, except that I don't think I should have to have a job. I mean, I just don't want to have to work ever again.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
We'd all be happier if we didn't
Back
have to work.
that.
I would say like the way that I check in with myself to see if I'm overwhelmed is I fucking don't, and that's why I get overwhelmed.
We have a conversation and I'm like, Zane, I feel like you might be overwhelmed, and he's like, oh, maybe.
It's something that you almost kind of only see in hindsight. You kind of you have to be like, oh, I did too much. That's why I felt all the things that I felt, you know. And I think that being able, it's kind of shitty. It's a thing in hindsight, but I think like a little bit of preparation and just going like, okay, I'm taking on another thing. Is that going to add more stress? Is that going to add more things that I'm going to be stressed about, or is that going to add more happiness? And I definitely agree with you, Jasmine, about the things that overwhelm me are also ironically the things that I want to do, and that's a bummer because I want to do this show every single weekend. But if I'm doing this show every single weekend, then I have to book it every single weekend. I have to find guests. I have to find topics. And then I get overwhelmed like I am in this sentence.
Like what are you supposed to do when the things that bring you joy are also the things that equally overwhelm you?
Yeah.
Like how do you decide between the two?
Yeah. And all of you have seen me overwhelmed.
No
Never.
way. Never.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Nope.
It's fine. I've never been overwhelmed. It's fine. No, you all have seen me overwhelmed. What do you think? How do you think it shows up for me? Just so I can see it maybe from like an outside perspective.
I mean, the first thing I see is just like a shutdown.
Shut down. That's right. Damn straight.
Yeah. It's fairly,
This isn't going well, and I don't want to feel it.
So what if I just stop this conversation from happening and change the subject and make a joke and move along swiftly?
Wow, you nailed it. I don't like this. That was a bad idea, and I
why
did it
did
to
you even ask
myself.
me?
No, I did it to myself.
And I feel like in the last few weeks, we've also been doing a lot of stuff where you get overwhelmed and then I ask you some curious questions and then you're able to like resettle in the overwhelm and be like, yes, okay, that is what's happening. And then you like move through it instead of like staying in it and then just being like, I have to go smoke and leave.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
being able to, like,
That's very true. No, I'm a big smoker.
but being able to like sit in the moment and like move through it and then ultimately be able to like not get unoverwhelmed, but still get where you need to go.
Yeah, no, I think that the asking the curious questions, because it's like that's the thing that I don't often have. Sometimes when I get overwhelmed, people are just like, this is overwhelming me. I don't want to feel your emotions. I'm going to disconnect. So it's like it's just two people disconnected and one person being like, the thing that would help me reconnect is just a little bit of curiosity here. Taylor, what do you see when I'm overwhelmed?
Well,
We're gonna make this all about Zane now.
The Zane show.
This is a Zane podcast.
I did want to add that you and I are both bipolar as fuck. So there are times when we're both like on our highs at the same time, and we like overwhelm other people.
We're
like,
annoying.
we definitely just like riffed for like an hour and a half straight, and it becomes 13 inside jokes, and the person sitting next to us is like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?"
Sorry, guys.
That's just normal friendship for me.
But then when we're not both on a manic streak, or when one of us is in a severe depressive streak and the other one's not there, I think we've gotten a lot better at recognizing it. But for you specifically, like you kind of like Jasmine said, you shut down into like emergency mode. Well, like I think of it as like little people in your brain, and it's like the only people that are left in there are like the head of the crew, where it's just like I just need to operate. I just need a tunnel vision onto like eat, sleep, drink water, and sometimes even
I don't do those. Those get totally kicked out. Those are the first ones that go. That's usually why I get
I
overwhelmed.
was gonna say like pump blood.
Yeah, that's
Breathe
probably
air.
better.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good place to start. Pump blood, breathe air.
And then you eat a muffin.
And then eat a muffin.
Honey bun.
Part of a balanced
We
breakfast.
hang out with Zane too much. No, not too much, but enough to know your comfort treats.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
You want to know how I know when you're
Yeah, how do you know?
You hate this section now that you started it.
Now that I started, I'm like, it's a bad fuck.
I'm in too deep.
They don't ask me, I'm going to be pissed. No.
Yeah.
I feel like I can tell when you're overwhelmed because I get overwhelmed really easily.
You're welcome.
No, but also I think something is like, I think you start like trying to tackle, this is probably before the shutdown, trying to tackle too many things at once. So it's like we're talking about something and then it's like this and then I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, it's just like trying to consider too many things at once and like losing like the linear part of it. I think, and I'm the same way when I get overwhelmed as well.
Yeah.
So. If you guys want to talk about me at all.
Yeah, let's talk about Zoe. So I've seen you overwhelmed.
No.
No. Nobody here gets overwhelmed. It's totally fine.
Blame it on my mom.
We're about to interview your mom and be like, what does Zoe look like?
Give her a microphone.
Just get her frustrated. We look the same.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how do you? If you said it's similar, like in what ways do you see it show up?
Well, because I think we both have ADHD pretty bad, and I think that's something. I mean, that's the way I've connected it. But we do we'll get overwhelmed, and then this happens. Like you get tunnel vision on the thing that you're overwhelmed by, and then you over focus on it, and you're like, I have to figure it out, and it's like you're not going to figure it out in that mindset. Like it's literally the word. But so basically, yeah, getting tunnel vision on the thing that we're overwhelmed by, and then putting our energy into it to the point where we want to like cry instead of just being like, I need to step back and have some patience and like take a deep breath. Yeah. So I think, the tunnel vision aspect and then just losing it a little bit in the tunnel vision.
What about you, Taylor?
How do I see Zoe get overwhelmed?
Is she mad?
No, how do you? She looks very offended.
She's a great mom.
But I mean, like for you, when you get overwhelmed, like what are the ways that, I guess, maybe other people might view it?
I tend to get really quiet. And I think that can come from like all of us said, the hyper focusing on the thing that is overwhelming you, and I get like really desperate to solve it. You know, if I feel like I'm not doing good at something, then I just like sit there and try to figure out all the ways that I could be doing better, and that in itself can be very overwhelming because I'm just absorbing way too much information at a time where I'm already not my best self, and it's very debilitating too. And
Well, I like that you said that you get quiet because I feel like that's like the thing that I often do, but it's also the least helpful thing for people trying to comfort you. You're just like, I'm quiet, and they're just like, what would help? And I'm like,
what should I do? And I'm like, nothing. Don't worry about it. I got this.
Stop looking at me and stop talking to me. That would.
Yeah. What about you, Jasmine? How do you feel like overwhelmed? I've never seen you overwhelmed. You're just always bubbly.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, I think that, but I try very hard to make it a big secret.
Yeah,
and
good
would
job.
Never ever tell anybody that it was happening.
Okay.
I put up very good
So
compartmentals and just wall I don't know.
So how did it used to?
Being overwhelmed is like really vulnerable for me. Like I don't want anybody to know that I feel like that. I want to be like on my shit and capable of everything. So if I am explaining to you that I am overwhelmed, it probably means that I like super trust you that I'm feeling that way. I tell my partner and like my best friend, and that's kind of it.
And this room full of people.
But this is fake. I'm not overwhelmed right now.
All right, never mind.
Nothing is real.
They're safe.
This is fine today.
When I did want to say that like you definitely have kind of an air of like stoicism with
Perfect.
Yeah, like
I'm so glad what I'm trying to come across.
You fooled me for sure.
It's working. Yes.
So like, the more stoic you are, does that mean the more overwhelmed you are?
Oh shit!
Not necessarily.
I'm trying to figure
it depends. It depends on the day. But no, I mean, I feel like I feel powerful when I feel neutral or when I come across as neutral. Yeah. I don't like feeling super big feelings that are like really big and open, nor like really heavy. I just would like everyone to have no idea what I'm thinking or feeling at any time unless I'm overtly telling you, which I've been told is sometimes not great.
How so?
Oh, like
it
people
works
not
great for me.
understanding how I feel about them. People being intimidated, that kind of stuff. Which sometimes I like, and sometimes I'm like, ooh, that's not exactly what I was trying to go for. Close to it, but not quite. Mostly men. If I'm intimidating to men and they don't know what I think about them, I actually think that's fucking dope.
Cool.
And I'm into it.
I was just gonna ask, like, when do you want to be intimidating? And then you're like, men.
Men. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, we're gonna take one more quick commercial break, and we will be right back with the smoke break.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Stephanie Strange. Ooh, that's a little too much reverb. And I'm so happy to be here on the smoke break. Thank you so much for having me. I sing a lot about mental frailty and fragility, and I'm so happy to share some of these songs with you. My head is gonna pop from all this din. She said we spin on the spin on the spin on the spin on the spin. It just doesn't stop. This idiot committee holding court in my gray matter. What does it matter? I spilled my cup. Now I get no refills. I'm looking up a hill with a pocket full of beans. I was told they were clean, grade A, beanstalk quality. People keep asking, how are you doing? And just to keep it simple, I say fine. But what goes unspoken will not go unsung. I think I'm losing my mind. My eyes, they're gonna shoot right out of their sockets. My ears are gonna curl up into my skull to take a little nap. My lungs, they're gonna quit. My heart is gonna take a shit. My brain is on vacation, furloughed. My head is going to pop from all this bullshit. She said we spin on the spin on the spin on the spin on the. Oh, she said we spin on the spin on the spin on the spin on the. Oh, she said we spin on the spin on the spin on the spin on the spin. Thank you. It's falling down. That's okay. There we go. I got it. Yeah. Thanks, Phil. Keeping that mic tight. All right. Well, I have a couple songs prepared, but somebody just yank me with a cane when this portion of the time is up because I don't have my watch on and I have no internal clock. Oh. Well, that's great. Look at that. This song is called Agent Strange, and it goes with a comic book that I wrote and that Jay Reynolds illustrated. And it's about delusions, and it's about using your delusions to help navigate the world. When it was discovered that the species human was developing consciousness, we sent a team to the surface of Earth to live amongst them and report back. Today we hear the transmission of an agent calling herself Strange. I look around me and I think, these people, they're crazy. Though I was sent as an impartial observer, I forget who I am. And I feel such regret to present my case. I'd like to welcome to the stage the next species on the brink of extinction. Me, oh my, they're dropping like flies now, and they fall like dominoes. Doesn't it feel like the world is ending? Tick tock. If you feel like you're doomed, that's because you are. I'm just saying, I hate to report on the state of these self-forsaken creatures. They threw it away. Oh, oh, they threw it away and then they cried. They cried. Oh, they threw it away. Oh, they threw it away and then they cried. They cried. Oh, they threw it away. Oh, oh, they threw it away and then they cried. They let 1% play. And they sold their lives as if time was a game. They threw it away. Oh, oh, they threw it away and then they cried. They cried. Oh, they threw it away. Oh, they threw it away and then they cried. They threw it away. They threw it away. Oh, oh, they threw it away. They threw it away. Oh, oh, they threw it away. They threw it away. Oh, oh, they threw it away. They threw it away. They threw it away. Oh, oh, they threw it away and then they cried. They cried. Oh, we threw it away. Oh, we threw it away and then we cried. It has been decided that the species human will go untampered with. We are curious to see what unfolds. As for Agent Strange, her time on Earth has been temporarily extended, despite the Council's concerns about her general state. Now can I come home? When can I come home? Thank you. Do I have time for one more? Is that it? I can be. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Make some noise for Stephanie Strange! Commercial? Yep. After one commercial break. And we are back with the smoke break. Make some noise one more time for Stephanie Strange. Make some noise for her.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so something that you want to talk to us a little bit about was just kind of like your journey with with art and mental health.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I first started playing music, I loved it and it was therapeutic for me. But after I quit drinking, I found myself in a totally new place and all of my former inspiration had dried up. The highs that I had experienced and the lows had shortened a little bit. And I was in a really dark place in sobriety. And I think that's something that people don't talk about is how hard it is. There's this sort of idea that like things get easier, of course, when you're an addict and things are really difficult, you get sober and things are great and you're in this fluffy pink cloud, and I was not. Everything hurt. Everything. People smiling at me, people interacting with me, looking at me. It hurt and I was angry and I was so isolated from people, and I was having trouble connecting and pulling myself out of that, and a little feral black cat came into my life, and that was sort of the first connection I'd had with another living creature. And with her came stories. Her name came to me, Nina Nightmare. And then my name came to me, Stephanie Strange. And then the band name, Strange and the Familiars. And then these stories started, there's no other word but blooming. And they mirrored my own story with magical realism. It was my own story, but with a magical twist. And I suddenly started to see laid out before me a map of a way out of where I was. And so it's very important to me, art as a roadmap to retell your own story, those voices that Jasmine was telling about. Sometimes our brains aren't nice to us, and we can use art to help our voices be a little nicer, to kind of corral those voices. And sometimes we even might lie to ourselves and use this artifice and this delusion to help guide us to a place we want to be in. So art means the world to me because it's my personal roadmap out of darkness. Not to say that I don't
Out of it.
Yeah, there's no such thing really as out of it, but certainly I got a lay of the land.
Yeah. You're navigating towards closer to the light. You know, like maybe you might not be out of it, but you might be closer to the light that you're looking for.
Closer to the light, and able to now reach out a hand and help other people around me more than I was before.
And I like that you mentioned the difficulty of sobriety instead of just like, then I got sober and everything was great. You know, like there's that whole part of your brain and your psyche that's used to these things, and like, you know, cutting them out is a difficult process in itself, and like, you know, worth a huge congratulations. But there's the less talked about part of like, now what do you do?
Exactly. And we're not comfortable with talking about substances as medication. People medicate themselves with substances.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think that's an important part of our work is just understanding that, like, for some people, this is what helps you get through the day. You know, like if you need to use, then like that is something that is helping you survive. Like something that Jasmine had said before was just like, you know, like self-harm is, you know, harm reduction. You know, because dead people don't get to make better decisions. So
Exactly.
It's like if it might be this thing that other people view as like harmful to you, but if it's the thing that's helping you continue on, I think that, you know, it's important to understand its place in your life.
And there's a reason. There's a reason people use.
Yeah.
It's not just lazy or rotten.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of like just negative stereotypes that I guess just kind of like come with it, and just a lack of understanding.
Yeah, I'd say a very, very, very small percentage of people use and or get addicted to things because they're just bored. You know, like it's usually as a feeling of coping or you know, like medicating or just like allowing them to function at a normal level. Like especially with socializing, if you struggle with socializing, using something often has enhanced people's ability to do that. And then when you cut that out, they're like, how the fuck how do I talk to anybody? How am I okay with any conversation, let alone personal growth? You know, if I'm cutting this thing out of my life that was allowing me on like to my standard to like operate, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it's not surprising that people need substances to cope. And when we live in a world that like makes everything way harder than it needs to be for a lot of people.
Yeah,
so.
no, definitely. I think like a lot of the systems, you know, were like kind of set up to fail, and you know, I think like recognizing how those things are affecting us, you know, allows us to have more compassion for ourselves when we are in those states of where we're just like, hey, like I'm dealing with a lot of shit. Like the world is getting hotter. I don't have money. Like if I'm using this to get through today, then this is what I needed to get through today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So how has art helped you communicate some of the more difficult things?
In every way. I am not a big fan of vulnerability. I am vulnerable. I'm very vulnerable on stage, but art creates a nice buffer between where I can talk about things without constantly ripping my chest open in ways that I might get hurt. I think it protects me from being hurt because I was talking a little bit with your mom earlier about not taking yourself too seriously. And my art centers around this black cat and these 3 black cats and myself as this character who has these powers. And that helps me to lighten it a little bit while I'm talking about these desperately dark things. The comic book that I brought, it talks about me hitting my rock bottom and almost just giving up. That's the one.
Yeah.
Illustrated by Jay Reynolds. It's beautiful. It's an amazing thing to see all of that on paper and to.
Yeah. I'm really jealous because I always wanted to do something like this where it's like release an album and then be like, yo, I got a comic book with it. I'm
so
super
badass.
excited to like check this out. But yeah, and it sounds like you're doing art in a lot of different aspects. So it's like, do you feel like the different arts that you do kind of help you communicate what you want to communicate in different ways?
Yeah, music is me assuming my character on stage and moving energy and exchanging energy with the audience. But at the heart of everything is storytelling, and to be able to tell stories, I think, is to be able to tell stories and control it in a way is to find some sense of control in a world where you don't really have much. And so, yeah, storytelling and also collaboration is a totally different thing too, of taking myself out of the forefront of this is me here with my guitar and this is something that I made with other people and this is a sense of community.
Yeah, and I definitely like what you said about like the collaboration effort because it's like you can do everything by yourself, but would you want to? You know, like,
not going to be very good. Not going to be as good.
It's not going to be as good, and it could be a lot better if you just trust that like other people may have skills, may have input, may have all these things that like could help you create the best product instead of just the product that I imagined the first time I thought of it.
Well, and the team building behind that too, I feel like would definitely help with like the socializing aspect of it too. Like you reaching out to somebody to illustrate that, you know, it's like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need to use to build this social connection because it's about something that I'm very passionate about, you know, and that's brilliant. Just having a comic book based off of like, I'm not even trying to describe it. Is it based off of the music? Is the music based off of the comic book? Or do you have a story that they're both based off of?
How do the two tie together?
Well, the music started first and little bits and pieces came in, but the album came first and I was writing short stories with it. And then these short stories sort of started lending themselves to, it was actually when I reached out to Jay to illustrate a short story called Ghost Bugs. Really cute story about how my cat's chasing a bug around the room and I wonder if it's a bug or a ghost. And she turns to me and says, both. It's the ghost of a bug I killed yesterday.
That's adorable.
It's adorable.
That is the cutest shit I've ever heard.
It's so cute.
Oh my God.
Like right in the macabre, cute, whimsy world that I love to be in. And but he couldn't do, like, we were doing it for a year and he was so frustrated. And he was like, I just made it into a comic book. And he slapped it down on the table. And I was like, whoa, a comic book. Okay, this is what I wanted. This is the storytelling part that I wanted to get. And so we proceeded with this one, a much bigger story about kind of the origin stories of how the 3 black cats came into the world, what they're here to do, and how Stephanie became strange.
Yeah. I like it because it's playful too. Like it's about your mental health journey, but you made it like fun, kind of, and whimsical. And I feel like that like is part of what we do. Like we try to incorporate humor into like talking about really tough subjects. So I think, and that's like a part of my core values, I think, too.
Play. Yeah. Play is so important. It's so much easier to learn and to grow if you're if you can hold it loosely and lightly and you can play with it and not take yourself seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like that a lot.
What about you, Zoe? So you're an artist. Like, how does like, you know, trying to find a place for that art and maybe like some of your mental health struggles?
Well, I think that I was actually thinking about this earlier. Like before I really like got into comedy, I feel like I really was like lost for a lot of my life. Like I needed something and it took me longer to figure out what it was. And I'm sure it'll turn into more things. Like now we have a podcast, you know. But I think it's just like, I don't know. I just think it's like the journey to get there, I don't know. I totally just forgot what I was talking about.
You're fine. You're fine.
I ADHD'd out on the light as I was talking about it.
I saw it happen. I felt your soul leave your body for a second.
I think it was a ghost, actually.
I was like, is it a ghost or a bug?
It was a ghost of a thought that you lost.
No, I remember now. Yeah, I think finding something. Yeah, I just think like it didn't feel just the process of having something that you feel passionate about, regardless of like what it is that you're actually creating. I just think like that in itself was like a core part of me being on just a better path with my mental health. Like I think it didn't really it was always something missing. I think, and I think having a creative outlet, and I think art can be like anything really, right? Like we all make stuff, we all create things. I think just like finding something that you feel like you're constantly working on, you're improving on, it feels exciting. Yeah, I just feel like until I really found that, I felt a little bit lost. So I think finding something you're passionate about, creating, I think, is a huge part of getting through our mental health struggles for most people, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Taylor, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask a question, but I would like you to elaborate on that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was going to say just kind of the feeling of being lost. I was feeling overwhelmed, so therefore I was just I need to get rid of all the things that are overwhelming me. So therefore I was I'm going to get rid of music, I'm going to get rid of comedy, I'm going to get rid of the podcast, burn it all to the ground. And it was realizing that once I had kind of made that decision, that it was I felt lost. I was what do I do now? When I think of something funny, when I think of something clever, or I come up with a rhyme or whatever, what do I do with that? It needs to have it needs to have a place, it needs to have an outlet, but it needs to be there in a healthy capacity, And I think that as artists, we try to fit everything into all of these areas, and maybe not all of it goes there, but some of it does, and some of it connects with people in ways that are really unexpected.
And helps them feel not alone, they're not struggling. Mental illness is such a feeling of being alone, and the only one and the worst one.
Yeah.
And by expressing your art and sharing it with other people, that's an opportunity for other people to be oh, I'm not the only person. It's this magnified thing loses a little bit of its power.
And the roots spread, that can, if you reach 20 people with your art, then there's a chance that one of them is I want to do some shit like that. And now they're making art that's gonna reach 20 other people, and that just spreads and spreads. And
it's the weirdest pyramid scheme ever.
It is. Probably the best one too. And that's the best thing that someone can say to me when they're just oh, I see you did this thing. It makes me want to do this thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do the thing.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, go ahead, Taylor.
Oh, the question that I wanted to ask was and it's for everybody.
Sure.
Do you guys find yourself writing about your experiences, or just writing and then you're able to incorporate your experiences into that writing?
Oh, I definitely write about my experiences.
Yeah.
Intentionally. I have a feeling and I need to write this down.
No, but I do think with comedy a lot of the time, it comes from a place of frustration, and then it slowly turns, making something funny is sort of how it gets less frustrating, because you're just this is so fucking stupid. How do I deal with it? I'll just make fun of it because it's stupid, and then it becomes funny. Or it's just something medium. Frustrating, Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was going to say comedy is a very unique medium too.
Yeah,
it's a totally different world when it comes to writing and performing.
Yeah. But I used to write poetry when I was younger, and I definitely wrote some real dorky, gushy, about my feeling stuff. Yeah.
You're actually Zoe's gonna be performing that poem later,
yeah.
so thank you guys for sticking around. Zoe's mom brought it, so
Coming across like a real mama's girl today.
if my mom was here, it would be it'd be the same
I don't get to
thing.
see her enough. I'm excited.
I wish Barb was here. I miss Barb.
Yeah.
Fucking.
One day.
I think it's interesting that you guys said that, because I find myself doing the exact opposite, unintentionally. I'm working on a short story, film, screenplay, whatever the fuck right now, and in writing that, I ended up writing the main character is dealing with a lot of self-acceptance, perseverance, dealing with rejection from family, et cetera, and I ended up very accidentally writing in very similar experiences to what I'm having, just because I saw avenues for it, and I was wait, I know exactly how this feels, and it turned from a story that I just kind of thought of to a little bit of self-insertion every once in a while, just where I saw avenues for it. So I think it's interesting that there's a lot of different ways to incorporate your experiences.
Yeah, definitely. And I as somebody who does music, somebody who does comedy and things like that, it's just there's certain experiences that like I don't want to laugh about and certain experiences I don't want to make rhyme. You know what I mean? And like just being able to figure out which one is which is like, it can be a very difficult thing. So it's, trying to navigate that is definitely a tricky thing. Go ahead.
Well, and also what is like that we do commodify our art and what we share. And I get real sensitive and titchy about what I'm going to share because I don't want to relate it to like, oh, here's a big share and come to my show. You can Venmo me at like,
Yeah, it feels weird, but that's the world we live in, unfortunately.
yeah, there is some navigation there. I feel like.
Off of what Zane said, do you feel like there's certain things that you don't want to put into music, so you put into your storytelling, and there's certain things that you don't want to put into your storytelling, so you put into your music? Or and I know yours all kind of blends together in its own like little world, but I'm just curious.
Actually, I don't write about my health, my physical health challenges in my music, but I do write about it in stories. It's a lot easier for me to do that. I haven't found any sort of natural place where physical health issues can fall comfortably into a song.
That makes sense.
You're making me think I need to do different types of art.
Zoe actually does different types of arts. Don't let it. Yeah, I saw Zoe has some amazing paintings. That's see. Yeah, look at all that confidence.
Should we talk about imposter syndrome?
Got 3 minutes. Let's talk about imposter
I
syndrome.
haven't painted in a long time, but I'm decent at it. But it's because my family. I feel like I have like a natural, good, like decent amount, like an amount of artistic talent, but I never really honed it. But other people in my family are really good artists.
Yeah, but I feel like they say, like a picture's worth 1,000 words. There's stories that you can tell in a single picture that like would take you 1,000 fucking words to try to describe. You know?
Yeah. Okay, I'll start painting again.
All right, we did it. We did it, folks.
Working with visual artists has been hugely empowering to be able to bring that medium into it. And like you were saying too, to be able to collaborate around art and build friendships around art is so important as someone with social anxiety, and it's nice to have like a seed there between us that we can, here we go. Here's the thing that we can center around, and usually the friendship flourishes around it.
That skips a lot of small talk too, because you're just like, here's the thing we like, let's do the thing.
Yeah, I don't do the small talk. I can bullshit and I can big talk, and then small talk in between. I don't want to do it. I don't care about the weather. We all see what's happening with the weather.
Fair enough.
One more person tells me that I'm wearing a sweater right now. I know it's hot. I'm really warm.
Yes, I'm wearing all black and I'm half black. Yes, this is very difficult for me. All right, Double, we're going to take one more quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back with our comedian, Ben Harkins. So thank you so much. Are we all out of commercials? Philip gave me a look like we're all out of commercials. Can somebody go grab Ben? Is he right there? There he is. Ben. Welcome to the stage right now. Very hilarious, Ben Harkins. Woo.
All right, yeah, give it up for everyone. Give it up for everyone. Come on, keep it going. Gotta give it up. Here comes the tonal shift, motherfuckers. It's real out of nowhere. It's gonna be real I'm funny, man. Give it up for me doing this. Don't stop. We're clapping this whole time until I feel like I can do this. Yeah, it's a great tonal shift. Here we are, and hey, what's up? How are we? How's everyone doing? We're gonna go around to everyone. How's everyone feeling? I'm good. Okay, I'll hold it down here. Give it up. Thank you. Give it up for that shit. You know, all these technical problems. I'm good. I don't know. I'm doing all right. I broke $21,000 worth of art glass at my job the other day, and someone hacked my bank account and they spent all of my money. And do you guys want to know what they spent like all of my money on? Okay, it was online. I could see what was happening. So it started with one night at the Econo Lodge, and that was it. That was all it took. It was just the one charge to clean me out, because I live on the edge. I get money and I spend it. I don't care about, I'm not afraid of poverty. I'm not afraid of hard times. I've been here before I can get through it. I've been practicing Peanut Butter Sandwich Week, and that is a holiday that I celebrate at least once a month. That's where you buy a jar of peanut butter and a loaf of bread, and then you don't have to worry about buying other shit for a whole week. It really helps you see through the bullshit in life, all the rat race, the late stage capitalism. I don't need. My friend came up to me and was like, "Hey Ben, the Barbie and Oppenheimer came out in the theater. Which one do you think is going to be better?" And I was just like, "I'm not thinking about that at all. I don't need entertainment. I don't need any of this stuff. All I need in this world is one butter knife." Just a drawer filled with old Taco Bell hot sauces. That's how you keep it interesting when you're poor. I make these sandwiches in the dark just to surprise myself. Just be like, "Oh, I wonder if this one's gonna be the Diablo." I'm an expert when it comes to having fun and saving money, keeping it fun on a budget. Here's a fun game to play. You can drink a glass of water in the dark. Don't turn the lights on. And here's another cool tip for having fun, saving money. You can try to figure out where the ants are coming from. You don't get to the bottom of that one. It's not about getting results when it comes to having fun on a budget. It's just about getting through. With my ant thing, you guys know, like your local cafes, how they have those packets of sugar for coffees? Okay, here's the thing. I need everybody to be on board with everything that I say, or I'm gonna die. That's how this works. So cafes, those packets of sugar. Yeah! That's good. So those packets of sugar, you don't have to pay for those. That's a social contract. Those are free. So when you go to your local cafe, once you've got the packets of sugar in your hand, it doesn't matter if they ask you to leave. You already got what you came for, and they can't apprehend you. So then you take those packets of sugar, you put them in a dish, place that dish in the least popular corner of your apartment, and then that corner belongs to the ants now. And that way you get the whole rest of the place to yourself. I'm doing good. I'm doing good up here. This is great. Yeah. Aliens are real. They only come to America. Let's go. Give it up. They only crash in America. We got 40 of them in a warehouse somewhere. They're reverse engineering it. They only abduct Hicks. They only abduct lonely people with no support system. And the stories are real. It's all true. We gotta fix the fucking money thing, dude. I don't care about the aliens. I think we gotta fix the money thing. I think the money thing, it's just like I was so tired, and someone was like, "Dude, can you believe that aliens are real?" It's like, yeah, duh. Yeah, but yeah, sure, of course they're real. But I got other shit going on. So nobody cares. Nobody cares that aliens are real. Also, whatever, this isn't working. Let's go. I don't know, Joe Biden looks healthy as a horse. He does. That's not a joke. I think that when they inject Adderall into his eye, he gives a really good speech. Whatever they're giving him, that guy's 80 and he can keep it I want what he has. I think they need to help him find the door after the speech is over, because he always just kind of saunters around the podium going the wrong way, shaking hands with invisible enemies because he's so old, and no one wants to stop him because he's in charge. And just like get him on a just put him on a stage and just like lower him, get him out of there. I'm tired of watching this guy try to walk into traffic. It's weird. We're so divided as a nation. God, the nation, it's so divided. Come on, people. This is America. Come on. We gotta start agreeing with each other on everything. Come on, people. We gotta start agreeing with each other on everything. Come on. It's so defined. That shit with the green M&M tore us apart as a country. They changed her so she's like not a slut anymore. It sucks. And then Tucker Carlson was like, what does this say about us as a society? And then they brought her back where she's a slut again, but now she's gay. And then Tucker Carlson was like, what the fuck? And then the M&M company was like, hey, guys, come on. We didn't think this was going to be a big deal. All right, we're just going to take her away. No more green M&M. Cowards. They would rather see her erased than see her be a slutty, gay woman of color. That color being green. But also her arms and legs are kind of white, but also she's chocolate. So what do you guys think? What's the verdict? What's the verdict on this? I don't know. I deleted all the dating apps on my phone. Give it up for me. Deleting. They don't work. It didn't take me long to realize I'm what a lot of women would call a side piece. Like, I'm not the main dish at the restaurant. I'm more of the bathroom window of whatever you're trying to run away from in life. Are there any cheaters here? Is anyone cheating? Give it up. Give it up if you cheat. Are there any liars here? Give it up if you're lying about that. Is anyone lying? That's one honest person here. I saw a hand get raised. I don't know. Well, I've never cheated on anyone, but I've helped enough people cheat that it's like, all right, I'm responsible here. This is. I don't know. I've dated a lot of toxic women. I've been hurt a lot. I don't think I owe the world anything. Anyway, I used to date a witch, and she used to wake me up doing witch stuff at 3 a.m. That's the witching hour, and that's a true thing that you learn after you sign the lease. She would come into the bedroom and be like, hey, wake up. Wake up. Don't come into the living room. And be like, you don't have to wake me up. I wasn't going to. She was doing a seance. She was contacting ghosts. And it got me thinking, like, wow, like, what if that is the afterlife? You just haunt a rental. And you just watch people pay more for the same stuff that you had in life. In ghost movies, it's always someone who, like, owned the house is, like, haunting it. But, like, none of my friends own houses. So, like, what happens? What happens to us when it's all up? What do you guys think happens after you die? Let's go around the room one at a time. Who's got a good theory? Nothing? All right, I hear that a little bit. Just lights out. That's comfortable for me. That's basically me on the weekends. Just like, fuck it, don't do anything. It's nice. That's a little morbid, though, huh? Thinking about death on such a nice, sunny day, 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. It's morbid. I'm sorry I brought that up. I don't know. A lot of mass shootings, huh? Had a lot of mass shootings lately. They're happening all over the place. The other day, I was in a Walmart, and I was looking at socks, and this guy came in. He had an AR-15 strapped to his chest, and then he just also started shopping for socks, too. And his gun was pointing at my knee, and I was just like, hey, man, like, why did you bring that? And he was like, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to protect the people around me. And, you know, that's more or less the same reason that I brought my, crystal. So maybe there's still some common ground here. in this divided nation. Things are so divided. Oh my God. Everything's so fucked up all the time. There's do you guys know, like on MLK, there's like a Walgreens, and they play classical music. And I was like, why do they always play classical music at Walgreens? Was like Mr. Walgreen like a big fan of the orchestra? And the reason that they play classical music all the time is so they can just turn it up to like drive homeless people insane if they try to camp near there. And I just want to ask Beethoven, like, hey, what would you think of your music being used as like hostile architecture in the future? And he would probably, I think he'd probably say, huh? like, what? Because he was deaf. He was deaf. That's an old deaf joke. All right, you guys ready to get this discussion going? Give it up for everyone. Yeah, all right.
Trade you out. You'll sit at the end. Make some noise one more time for Ben Harkins. Might have to power that on. Are we?
Here we go.
There it is.
Sounds
One more time
good.
for Ben Harkins. Give it up for him. Thank you all so much. So yeah, something you wanted to talk about was not liking talking about mental health, which was an awkward thing to bring up right before this podcast. But boy, is it common.
Well, but the thing is, this is recorded. Like, this is just going to be a time capsule of whatever kind of fucked up thing happened, whatever I thought about my mental health then.
Yeah.
Because when I look back, I did a podcast about mental health in like 2019.
Oh, really?
And at the time, I was treating my depression with magic, literally magic.
Okay.
So it's sort of an embarrassing thing to just have exist where you're talking about it for an hour.
Yeah.
And the woman who like hosted it was sort of like a naturopath, like really into like cards and crystals and like, you know, stuff that, you know, is supposed to predict the future to like feel good and like vibe and like tea.
And you wanted that time capsule.
And she was like, isn't laughter just a great medicine? I was like, yeah, I know, because like the other day I wanted to kill myself, so I started doing this spell. With, I drew a demonic sigil on a piece of paper and I jacked off on it. And I was like, now I feel great. And it was just like, that's just there. And now this one has me talking about that one. And it just is one of those things where you're never really like done. And so like it sucks. It just sucks because you got to come up here and talk about how you suck. But it's just like, yeah, dude, like I don't think any of my mental health issues are like that unique or interesting. It's just like
The way you cope with them sounds unique.
Yeah.
I've tried a few different things to get to like where I'm at now. It's mostly just like yoga and like mushrooms every few weeks, and that's pretty good. Maybe
You'll look back at this and be like, and cringe and be like,
I thought,
yoga?
The spells didn't work?
No, they did not. Turns out magic isn't real. Fuck you. Fuck that. It doesn't actually work.
I feel like you would have summoned something like real fucked up by jacking off on the demonic sigil. Like he comes out and he's like, dude, what the fuck?
It's just like, oh my, it's in my horns.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey man, that wasn't cool.
I was like, it's the book said to do this. He's like, you did this to me. Not like old demon stuff is funny. It's always just it's like he's got like 7 heads or whatever. He's like, I can get you treasure. It's like, I don't need treasure. I want self-esteem. I need self-esteem and confidence.
I can't help you with that. I'm going back in.
Jesus, you fucking asshole. brushing.
I'm gonna use your shower real quick.
So can I use your shower? No, get out of here.
So you found like different coping mechanisms.
Get out of here, Belial.
You're not gonna make
You
this normal,
useless
Dave.
bitch.
Don't try.
So you've been using coping mechanisms? Yeah, no, I can't make
Bring
this
this back
normal.
to a point. There is.
But I mean, you've used different coping mechanisms, including demonic sigils and masturbation. But as one of them. But how do you feel like yoga's helping?
I think yoga's probably a little better.
That was a good transition, right?
Yoga is just one of those things that you can kind of do every day, or when you need it. You can take a day off, and it's cheap. That's the part that I like about it the most. And I also, I guess it took me like 34 years to realize I hold a little bit of tension in my neck.
It wasn't until I loosened up that I realized how tense I was.
Yeah, like I had to talk to a therapist when I could afford it. And at one point, she was like, "Have you tried yoga?" And I was like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Because I mean, I when she said that, I was just like, "That just means you can't help me." That's just you telling me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
Then you tried it, and it was better than
So
therapy?
I got really mad, and I went to Fred Meyer and got a yoga mat and threw it in a fucking
Resentful yoga.
Yeah, and then the first time I tried it, I rolled my neck, and I was like, "Oh, there's actually a lot going on there." I think maybe it was the 35 years of just being lied to about society and what I'm supposed to be, and how you're supposed to, and just always being wrong about everything all the time. And then
Makes
you're
your
like,
neck hurt.
yeah, makes your neck tense. Makes your neck tense. So that's actually, I can't recommend it enough.
What's your favorite move?
My favorite move,
Position?
Yeah.
What is it called?
Pose.
Pose.
My favorite pose.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing funny about that.
You have to do it right now, so we'll see.
We're not doing that.
No, come on. You have to do it. We didn't tell you. You have to demonstrate.
Well, I like the tree pose because it was just the first time I did it, I was like, you know what? I haven't spent a lot of time standing on one foot since I was a kid.
This is new.
Yeah.
And
It was a competition.
Yeah, it was just adulthood beats that out of you. You just get your ass kicked left and right, and you don't think, well, how long can I stand on one foot? There's something to learn there. It's not it's not profound or deep or anything, but it's something to focus on that isn't, people in my life not appreciating me.
So bills in a commute will really make you not want to skip anymore.
Yeah, it's something simple where it's just okay, you breathe, you stop thinking about all the bullshit that makes you insane, and then you can return to the bullshit limber. And it makes you stronger, and you can face it with newfound clarity, even though it's a simple thing. Because the whole forgiving myself every day, I'm not gonna fucking do that.
Can't forgive myself one day, let alone the next day.
No,
It's okay. Jesus forgives you.
Yeah, I don't really need. I don't need to have a breakthrough to feel like I can relax. I think maybe taking a minute to relax makes the whole thing.
Do you think that's mostly what yoga is? Is do you think it's more the bodily limberness, or do you think it's mostly taking a moment to just breathe and be clear, or both?
No, it's got to be both.
I've never done yoga.
I mean, it does if you do it every day, then you start to get kind of jacked, and then you're like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Way to sell yoga to a room full of people. Yeah.
Now I'm doing yoga.
You get to return to where it's just no, I actually feel it does become a thing where it's one part of it makes the other part better, then one part of it makes the other part better, and then if you stick with it for a few weeks or a month, then you kind of be oh yeah, actually I'm changing as a person. It becomes a bit more of a lifestyle thing that isn't just whatever I was doing before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever
Which
that
will
was.
not be mentioned or recorded on a podcast.
Yeah.
You're safe. Your secret's safe with us.
Yeah.
Zoe, you've done some yoga.
I do like yoga, actually.
Do you like yoga?
I mean, I haven't done a lot of it, but
I had a partner who was into yoga, and I would wake up every Sunday morning to do yoga, and I hated it. But then I would get in there, and I was just like, I needed this.
I think it's better than regular working out. What were you going to say, Ben?
Well, it can be kind of punishing it to do be oh, the only way I cannot be upset is to work out after I already worked all day.
Yeah.
And stuff, and that's the part where it's I fucking so I do yoga with Adrian, and there's
Oh, I like yoga with Adrian.
yeah, it's free.
Benji?
Yeah.
You said you
Benji
just
jerk
did it
off?
a little bit, and then you're like, yo.
I would like. I'm gonna get yoga with Adrian tattooed on my face. That's how.
Yeah.
much
I'm gonna get Benji's
it's
paw
been
prints
good.
tattooed on me.
Yeah. But there's parts where you can. I mean, you're allowed to do yoga pissed off. Like you're just creating like a gym. You're creating like a little space for yourself to kind of do whatever. Like there's parts where I'm just like, fuck you, Adrian.
Yeah.
You bitch. Fuck you. When I'm doing when you do the deep core stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you suck, Adrian. And she can't hear me, so I'm not hurting anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect thing.
So you said that you don't really like talking about mental health. Where do you think that comes from, other than the timestamp of it? And, like, do you go to therapy?
No, I can't afford therapy right now because I'm too busy moving and shaking. I'm a hustler. I'm on that grind. I'm kind of a Sigma male.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I'm like Guts from Berserk. I'm like that guy from Peaky Blinders. Too busy making moves.
Isn't he also an Oppenheimer?
I'll see Oppenheimer and I'll probably just start wearing that hat. Like a lot of young men, I'm sure. Well,
He made something explode.
yeah, there's definitely a type of like shy young dude who Cillian Murphy is like striking a nerve with, where they're just like, I'm not really like an alpha. But I'm still like psychologically dominant. So like they need to have that. There's this weird like cult of being a dude that's on the internet right now, which
Oh,
is
it's weird.
my favorite.
Yeah, those guys are fucking weird. They think they're talking about mental health, but it's like from a very different standpoint.
It's from a I'm more of like a stoic. I'm more like Marcus Aurelius than a child who was lied to his entire life and ended up with a pretty disappointing deal in America, which is most people and where a lot of pain comes from. But no, you can overcome it through grinding.
Yeah,
No, I don't have a therapist currently.
really.
That's also hard to get one right now. And a lot of them aren't really offering the, like some of the apps aren't really offering you what they're saying that they're offering.
Really? Okay.
It's like a lot of, because there's a shortage of it, because, a few years ago, the entire society cratered and nobody could work and everyone was inside. And
Yeah, they're like, maybe I do need this.
yeah, so a lot
Wait,
of
when did
people
that?
went crazy and kind of got into like BetterHelp or Talkspace or something. But the not everyone was getting like a great deal with that stuff, even though it is better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I did some of that BetterHelp stuff, and that's who got me into yoga and stuff. But if you're like a regular,
So you're saying it works?
no, I'm saying it was life changing. Yeah, but I don't like tossing money in a pit.
Way to describe it in front of a therapist.
'Cause I don't need it.
You mean my wallet?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, like if you have I used to not make tons of money like I do now. So I just
on that grind.
Yeah, but I do think it's just hard for like poor people to afford it. So like I think there's got to be other things to put a Band-Aid on all the poor people who can't get help.
Like the smoke break. Give it up for the smoke break one time. You guys still hanging in there? Thank y'all so much for hanging out. No, but I think like being able to talk amongst ourselves, like we can offer each other support, like I think that you just being a friend, you just being willing to listen. Are you the type of person who's able to listen to other people, or you're like, I got a lot going on?
It depends on who I'm talking to.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes people will come up to me and they'll just start like after a show or something, and they'll think that I'll tell a joke and they'll be like, "Wow, that resonated with me so much." I was like, "Yeah, I mean that's like me 6 years ago, but good. Good. So I'm happy that I left you in the dust." Comedy fans, sorry that I left you in the dust with my progress. But no, I think I'm a pretty good person at talk to. But if you don't trust someone or know them, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't care. Just like, why? You don't have to be like nice to everyone or be there for most people.
Yeah.
You can basically just be there for like a few people who like you can actually be like supportive to instead of trying to be like, no, I'm just a supportive person. I am not. If you get in my way, I'll cut you down.
Words of wisdom and support from Ben Harkins. No, well, I mean, like, I think, like, I'm experiencing fatigue with my job just because, like, I used to be, like, the person who's like, yeah, if you're having problems, hit me up. If you're having problems, hit me up. And now I'm just like, don't. Please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't. Like, I care that you're going through that. I'm sorry that that's happening, but I just listened to 50 other people who have it a little bit worse. And it's kind of hard to listen to somebody who's just like,
Well, I agree with Ben though too. Like, there's only so many, like, even realistically, so many people we can be good friends to. And I think when we overextend ourselves, it does like compromise our relationships. And I think it's important to like give to the relationships that give back to you too. So I think that's valid for sure.
You definitely have to like acknowledge your limitations. Where it's definitely smart to be like, I don't have room to give a fuck about this shit on like on the outside of my circle. You know, like
But I don't say it's because I can't.
That is
I won't.
Important distinction.
Well, I feel like that also does like that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this work though too, because I feel like I was doing it in my personal life a lot more than like probably was healthy.
I should be getting paid for this.
Yeah, and I think that was then I was like, you know what? I think I am called to like being someone who helps, but I think I need to have better boundaries around it. And so I was like, maybe, you know, part of doing it professionally allows me to have better boundaries in my personal life. But I've also heard that like people that do social work often the skills that make us really great social workers sometimes don't apply to our interpersonal relationships because we understand to the point where we let ourselves get hurt. So it's like really good boundaries are important.
I mean, sometimes it's just you're called to it because you're like a sensitive, empathetic person, and then you're like watching someone's kids get taken away, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is great for me.
Yeah, no,
like,
yeah.
This is dealing with like absolute cruelty and underfunding.
Yeah, you have to be
society,
considerate
so.
of like how much you can handle and like what things are and how you like process it, like what you do when you get off work at the end of the day too, to like let it go when you do heavy shit like that.
Well, that's what Zane was talking about, like having compassion fatigue is like that was a new phrase to me within like 2 weeks ago, and it was described to me by someone who works in like the vet field, where she just wanted to take home all the animals, and she's had to help put animals down and shit, and that's like I cannot imagine, you know, how brutal that would have to be for somebody that loves animals, and now, you know, like working in an area where you're gonna see people that you deeply care about, you know, struggle a lot and maybe not make decisions that are benefiting them, and you still need to, you know, step up and like be very, very caring and compassionate towards that. It definitely can be exhausting.
Oh, you love animals? You got to put that person in a box.
Yeah.
That person doesn't get to come to work today. We're getting rid of a lot of dogs today.
No, I mean, I definitely agree that like compassion is it's something that's like important to extend to everybody, but it's important to extend in the ways that we can do it. And I appreciate you sharing with us today. Give it up one more time for Ben Harkins. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, our next comic coming to the stage. She's amazing, so please make some noise right now for the very funny Tory Ward.
Yeah. Okay. Keep it going for Harkins. Keep it going for everybody. You guys are all such kind, soft people. Okay. Fuck, man. Okay, so so I went to the doctor the other day, and it was a gynecologist, because I'm a female comic, and that's what we talk about up here. I went to the gynecologist, and she went on this rant about thongs, like the underwear. They're like the bane of her existence. Apparently, thongs are the bane of every gynecologist's existence. I guess they're terrible for you. That's what she said. They're bad for the ecosystem, not like the ecosystem, little ecosystem. They're bad for, yeah. Yeah, she told me that and then she said, I'm quoting her now. She said, I like to think of that little strip of fabric as like a highway for fecal bacteria. That's what, yeah. Well, I mean, it's what she said. It bummed me out. It bummed me out at first, you know? But now I'm glad I know that. Because when I look at my phone, you know, and I see pictures of like women on the beach with like the little thong bikinis and the perfect bodies, and they're like staring over their shoulder, and I've always looked at those pictures and they've made me feel very insecure, you know. I'm like, oh man, if she looks like that and I should be in a fucking burqa, dude. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I? Jesus Christ. But now, ever since I learned that fact, now I look at those pictures and I just think, like, haha, you have shit in your pussy. Like, don't be shit in your pussy. You fucking, and sand. Like, that's not good. I guess she's sanding it down so it soaks in better, like lacquer. That's good. I lost some weight recently. I lost like 100 pounds, and I did the keto diet, so you know, who knows how much weight I've lost when I finally shit. We'll find out. I know I'm gonna be so small. I'm so excited. I'm finally getting the body I've always wanted, and I have hemorrhoids, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm getting fake tits. I'm going through a lot of changes. I'm getting fake tits. What happened was I went to the doctor for the hemorrhoids, and because I thought he could like push them back in or something, and he was like, I'm not fucking touching it. No. Do you know how much money I'm not gonna do. But this is why I'm getting the tits, because he was like, but if your tits look good enough, then hopefully no one will flip you over. So they won't know. Okay. Great. I get flipped, by the way. I don't want. Sometimes people, and I'm like, no, I'm getting flipped. I'm fine. They're flipping us. They flip all of us. They don't give a fuck, dude. They flip you. They don't care. Spatula, forklift, they don't give a fuck. They'll flip you over. They don't care. They don't. You can date with hemorrhoids. It's not a big deal. It's not like an STD. It's a weird PSA. But, I mean, I guess that's kind of what we're doing. So, yeah, you can date with them. I go on dates. It's a little weird. You know, maybe there's some accessibility issues, you know, like I do bring a donut pillow on dates, you know, for sure. I do, you know, I like to think it's endearing, but I bring a donut pillow on a date. You have to, you know, unfortunately, because I'm probably going to need to sit on the guy's face and I don't want him to choke to death. You know, I don't want some poor guy getting teabagged by my butt bumps. And so I bring a buffer with me when I go. Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm just trying to think where I want to go next. Oh yeah, because I'm like, I don't know. I was raised by my dad, and I you know, so I'm not very. It's not that I'm not. I just don't know how to do the stuff, and I'm like, well, I should learn to do all the stuff while I still have eggs in there. Like, I should learn how to be more girly, you know? So I'm trying, you know, because I'm like starting to like, I'm trying to like shower and stuff. And I went to go get a Brazilian wax. Well, they don't do wax anymore. Now it's sugaring. I don't know if you guys know that, but they don't wax now. It's a very attractive lady pours warm sugar on your asshole. That's what they do now. Did you know that? And then she acts like she wants to be your best friend. Have you I totally get how like guys fall in love with strippers, you know, now, because I was walking out of there like, yeah, we're totally getting brunch. I had to look up whether or not you could get sugared, get your butt waxed if you have. I had to look up whether or not you could do it with hemorrhoids because I didn't know, you know. And it turns out I found an article. It said it was very normal. It just said you should be sure to tip, you know. It just said, you know, don't be cheap. It's not a good time. And it also said don't make eye contact. And I was like, well, then what's the fucking point? You know, what? We can't stare her down. Why? I don't know why. Why are we? What are we doing here? Yeah, I don't know. Because I've always wanted to be one of those kind of girl like they wax their buttholes and they go to brunch and they hate the word moist, but they love the word splurge. And I want that so much. So I just don't know how to do it. I don't know how. And so the fake tits is a thing that's going to happen because that's something they don't warn you about, is that when you lose a lot of weight, everything falls down. Because before it was all being held up by like scaffolding made of like cupcakes and mayonnaise and shit. You know what I mean? Like it holds it up and then you lose weight and it falls down. And now I got some, loose, I call it my chastity flap. I have it like hangs down. Are you picturing it? It floats in the water. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like it. Are you? It looks like you need binder clips to fuck me. Are you seeing? Otherwise, I'm just going to unravel over you like a man of war. Like I'm just trying to eat you whole, just like a great big jellyfish on a lost little guppy. That's like, are you wet? No, those are digestive fluids. Stay still. I know. I'm sorry. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, my body. Tits, getting fake tits. They're fine. They've kind of fallen down. They're whatever. It's okay. I know it's fine. All bodies are beautiful. I got, I don't know how to fucking describe. I can touch my nipples to my clitoris. And it feels good. That feels good. It's like 3 nubs in a tub. They're more powerful together. They are. It is a good time. It is hard to look at yourself in the mirror when you're done, though. I've heard guys talk about feeling ashamed after coming from watching porn, and I'm like, you don't know what shame is. My roommate watches a lot of porn. He doesn't think I know, but he uses baby oil and it makes the whole house smell. And then also he, and he has sleep apnea, and I think he thinks that I'm gonna think the sound is his sleep apnea, but when he comes, it doesn't sound like an apnea. It sounds more like a death rattle. I got worried and I checked on him once, and never have I wished to see a dead body more in my life. Never one. I think it's fine. People say it's bad that, a lot of people have problems with porn. I think watching it's fine. I think it's good. He's getting it out or whatever. Like he's watching people and they're getting paid to do what they do, so he can do what he does. And I feel like that's healthier than if you don't watch it, because no matter what, you got to release, right? And if you don't watch it, then it's just the stuff in here. Like, that's work. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't watch it, then you're like me and you're just in your room in the dark alone, just thinking about somebody that doesn't want to fuck you. Like, and then you got to see the guy later at Jack in the Box because he's working the window at the drive-thru, and like he doesn't know, but and he's like, have a good night, and you're like, I will, and it feels bad. Like it doesn't feel good. Like I feel bad. There is this one kind of porn that my roommate told me about, though, that it does kind of stress me out. I don't know, it does give me some anxiety. He said he's been watching like this stuck porn, which is like, it's like where the girl gets, he explained it to me. I asked, I'm an inquisitive person. As he said, it's where the girl drops like a quarter or something in a couch and she goes to get it out and then she gets stuck. And, well, that's as much as he told me, but it's porn. Someone fucks her. I hope someone fucks her. I hope it's not just that she's stuck. That's worse. Like, I hope guys aren't just like, oh, that dumb bitch isn't getting out of there. Like, I hope that's not the whole thing. That's way worse for us. Now I'm going to be watching it like him. Like, oh my God, when's someone going to fuck her? This is terrible. This is bad. But honestly though, it kind of bothers me because I haven't hit my goal weight yet, and so I have a lot of goal weight clothes. I have a lot of aspirational clothes that I wear. I have a lot of snug fitting hoodies, and I get stuck in my hoodie a lot. Like I get stuck in and then I start to panic because I'm claustrophobic. So I'm like panicking and I'm trying to get out of my hoodie, and then my head's caught in it and I'm panicking more. And then I remember about that stuck porn. So then I'm worried somebody's gonna fuck me. So I'm in the parking lot of Jack in the Box, and I'm like trying to get out of my hoodie, and I'm swatting away dicks that don't exist. And someone drives by and they see me and they're like, oh, fentanyl got another one. Like, that's so sad. Okay. Oh, I have like 4 minutes left. Well, I'm going to do this. As soon as I do this last bit, it's like 2 minutes. And can I be, because I might not go well. Okay, great. Okay. Okay, hold on. I have to not be scared, because if I'm scared, then you get scared. And so the whole thing is I'm supposed to be confident so you feel safe. I'm not kidding. Just give me, just hold on. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I have a lot of anxiety. I've had anxiety my whole life, and I have a lot of problems with intrusive thoughts and anxiety, and I worry constantly. And I have, as long as I can remember. I like literally don't remember a time where I wasn't in a state of constant worry and panic. And I remember I learned about pedophiles. I remember the day I was 8 years old and I learned about pedophiles. And what a thing for an 8-year-old to learn about with anxiety. You know what I mean? What a fucking terrible thing. Because that was just like adding fuel to the flames. Because I would just stay up late at night, every night. I just worried, just so panicked, terrified, constantly thinking about what would happen if I grew up and became one. You know what I mean? Like, I was so... I'm not kidding. Because if you're a kid, like, all I knew is that, like, oh, they're monsters and they have this thing wrong with their brain. And I was like, what if I have the thing wrong with my brain? You know, like, I don't know. There's no way to know if you're a kid. Like, because I'm like, yeah, I want to fuck kids now, but that's normal. Like, because I'm a kid, like, what if it doesn't go away, though? You know? So every day I was just like, go away. Like, I hope today's the day. It went away. I want to make it very clear. It went away. It did go away. It did. Woo. But it made me think, like, we're mean to them. We are mean to that. We're what? We're mean to that group of people, and we're just mean to them because they have it. It's not because they fuck kids. Because I bet for every pedophile that fucks a kid, there are like 10 who would never, you know? But like, if we found out that they even just had the thing, we'd be like, fuck you, get out of here. And that's how unfair. That's so unfair. Like, we're all walking around feeling like we're such good people because we don't fuck kids, but we don't want to fuck kids, you know? And they don't fuck kids and they fucking want to, you know? Like, they're the ones making a sacrifice. That's all I'm saying. Like, they're the heroes. I feel like every day, why not give them a little positive reinforcement? You know what I mean? Like, every day they don't fuck a kid, they should get a gold star. Just right on their forehead, just a shiny gold star, plus that make them easy to spot. So, I'm done. Thank you.
Make some noise one more time for Tory Ward. Wow, we made it. Holy shit. That was nutty. Tory, thank you so much for sharing with us. Yeah, we appreciate you. So something that you wanted to talk about with us is, I guess, just having compassion for, like, our parents who might be struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah.
This is the part you don't have to make funny, but it's more fun if you do.
Oh, shit, great.
No pressure.
Well, fuck.
No. You don't have to make it funny. Just talk to us.
Okay. Well, just that. Was I supposed to write like a bit?
No.
Okay.
You're all good. This is very...
No. It would have seemed like Harkins did, but he didn't.
No, thanks for reminding me. That was just off the dome. So if I'm not funny, it's not a matter of preparation. It's good. So my mom is bipolar, type 1. So she has delusions. Like full delusions when she's manic. So I was not raised with her, and I haven't seen her since I was like 17, because last time I saw her, she thought she was saving me and was gonna like kidnap me, which is weird because I was big, you know, I was a big teenager. So I haven't seen her, but there's been like throughout, one time she like lit a courthouse on fire. Well, one time she came to like save me and she was like going the wrong way down the freeway at like 90 miles an hour. Woo. And then they like arrested, and then they impounded her car, and then she got mad, they impounded her car, so then she lit the courthouse on fire, and then but I guess like when they arrested her, she was like sitting in like her bathrobe on like the park bench with like the janitor's coffee and like the styrofoam cup.
Yeah,
You know, like cold coffee. Just smoking a cigarette, watching it burn.
What a baller.
No
you know?
shit.
Like, if you're
what
gonna
a fucking
do it.
Scorsese.
Yeah.
Like what? Like what a.
At least you know she loved you, Tori.
Yeah. What a cinematic eye she has. But like my whole life, she's been. Well, when I was little, my dad was very careful to just say she was sick because I
Yeah.
would only see her like once every couple of years, and
Yeah.
then I'd like there'd be like months where I'd have to be like picked up from like the principal's office because she was in town and on some crusade and
Sure.
you know whatever, and so I like couldn't wait outside for my parents, but then when I got like to be a little older, then it was like, well, yeah, she's bipolar, but lots of people are bipolar. They take medication. It's her choice that she's fucked up her life, basically, you know, by going off her meds, because she'd go off her meds every once in a while. And it was just, she's kind of a monster, you know, kind
Yeah.
of painted as a monster.
Painted as a monster.
Yeah.
Well, I think like if you have a mental illness and you can take meds, like people will shame you for not. You
Yeah.
know? Like I was on medication. I felt great, which is probably a side effect of the fucking medication. But I was like, I don't need this, and then went right back into
Yeah.
the full blown delusion.
Yeah.
That is a bizarre cycle that I've noticed that not like just with anybody with medication is that like the medication will kind of satiate the like really intense feelings and they're like, I feel great, I don't need medication, and then not being on medication starts the cycle over again. And I can imagine that would be very defeating.
And some
Yeah.
some people feel numbed out by their medication too, so
Yeah.
they can't experience the joy that they're used to experiencing, and that could be
She took. I don't think she could take lithium anymore because it's hard on your kidneys.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
think
and so
long-term.
now it's
Yeah.
just like now she takes like a cocktail of stuff. But it is kind of crazy. People do where it like people do that where if you can take medication and then you go off and you have an episode, they act like you like
like you did it on purpose.
yeah, exactly. So but she did put my dad through hell. I have like a baptism certificate, and my dad's not religious, but he said she had like for a while she had like visitation. She got me on weekends for like the first couple years of my life, and my dad's also very dramatic, so who knows? But I do have. He did say that he got me baptized in case she killed me. He was like, I didn't know.
That's dark.
What else to do? So I just got you baptized. And I was like, God will take it from there. Like,
Just in case.
You don't actually have to believe in it. We just did the act. and it counts.
We're just covering all the bases. We did it in every church that doesn't.
Maybe Ben could do a spell on you as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, just to be safe. Just to be safe.
But so I'm moving, and I haven't seen her in like 15 years, and she desperately would like to see me.
Sure.
And I kind of just decided the last time I saw her that like, oh, I never have to see you again. This isn't anything I ever have to deal with. I'm not going, like, why would I? I'm not going to. And this is really lame. This is so embarrassing. But when all the Free Britney stuff happened, it made me think about my mom a lot.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then I was like, yeah, because she was like voted most likely to succeed in her class. She like went to college. She was like a straight A student. She went to school for economics. She was like, and then, you know, it kicked in. And so it was like, how can somebody you can't say, oh, you did everything right. Your trajectory was to be so successful. And it's just a coincidence that you have this debilitating disease and your life went to shit. Like, oh, no. Those actually aren't related at all.
Yeah.
No, of course they are. Of
Yeah.
course they are.
For sure.
Well, I mean, I think it takes a lot of compassion to, you know, even for somebody who experienced those situations with your mom, like with the kidnapping and the burning of the, you know what I mean? Like with stuff like that, it's hard to have compassion in those moments. But I mean, the fact that you've come back to it all these years later and just been able to be like, no, you were dealing with a difficult brain that says mean things to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, and you even were talking about struggling with like intrusive thoughts yourself. You know,
if you have anxiety.
similarly struggle, you know,
Yeah.
and so it's like I think us having, you know, that stuff kind of gives us the compassion to be like, hey, the place where you were coming from in this moment is not who I believe you to the person for you to be.
Yeah. Well, and there was also stuff too that was like said about her that now how we look at stuff is crazy. So like when she was like in custody battles with my dad, there was like this it wasn't just my dad, like my grandparent, everybody said this about her. that she was framed as this kind of like femme fatale, like you know, like those Michael Douglas movies in the 90s with the because I guess she like would go and see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist would have to like sign off during like these custody battles, like sign off on her mental health in order for her to like get custody or partial custody. And so it was always framed of like, yeah, and then she would always end up sleeping with the psychiatrist, and then he would give her a pass. And so it was always like, man, this fucking crazy bitch, fucking. And then it's like, whoa, this guy has a PhD in how brains work. She's sick.
Yeah.
He decides whether or not she gets to see her kid, and he fucks her.
Yeah. Serious power dynamic.
And then, but like literally everybody viewed it as like, this fucking manipulative.
Yeah.
So like kind of his culture changed. And then I like reflected back on stuff. I was like, she's been treated really unfairly in her life.
Yeah, that's probably
Like-
crazy to have that realization as an adult, like try to understand your mom now through that lens.
Yeah.
But probably healing in some ways too.
Yeah, my brother said he had it at this. He has a different mom. He's my half brother, but he said he had it at the same time because he was telling his wife about my mom, and he was like going through, and it was like as he was saying it out loud, he was like,
Oh shit.
yeah, this is actually kind of fucked."
Yeah. No,
Retelling that story, or just like retelling the story from, you know, as an adult will give you so much more perspective on it, because you're not just like a kid hearing the things that you were told. You know, you can you could definitely view it like how would I feel in that situation, and it's cool that you were able to give your mom a lot of forgiveness. I'm still struggling with a lot of, you know, forgiving my parents, and it's definitely inspiring that you were able to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't seen her yet. So who knows?
Fair enough.
Who the fuck knows?
But it's interesting how like her sexuality was weaponized in that moment. Like, you know, like, oh, she's like using, you know, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of sexism there involved in that.
Well, I think
portrayal.
too, there's like a connection with the bipolar, because when you get when your system's all ramped up, sometimes you get a little promiscuous, like you get kind of horny, you know,
and very confident as well.
Yeah, very confident, and so that aspect of it gets used. If you're a woman with it, and
absolutely,
then you know, then that's going to get used like doubled down on you.
Even though we know it's like a symptom, like a very common symptom of dealing with mania for certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's like you said, mental health. So I was like, oh, that's a mental
thanks
health.
for sharing that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Like my mom has struggled with like depression. She suffered or struggled with anxiety and stuff like that. And I think that like at the time I was just like, I just thought my mom was lazy. You know, I thought she didn't want to get better. I thought she didn't want to try and get healthier. I think that like as an adult, realizing how hard it is to get healthier, how hard it is to feel better, that like I just have more compassion for her.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's one thing with parents that sometimes I feel like when we talk about like kind of in the zeitgeist and the mental health zeitgeist, I feel like there's a lack of compassion for parents, because people talk about their trauma a lot, and then they'll talk about their trauma that they have from that their parents gave them a lot, and it's like, well, imagine like. Think about how backwards things are think about how backwards things were for them when they were young.
Yeah.
So they have all their shit.
Yeah.
And so if you want, like, you have to extend that compassion to generations like above you if you want it. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And that trauma like stays in your, like, it's part of you too. Like what they went through, not just like behaviorally.
It gets passed down.
Yeah. It's also like in your genetics too, what your family went through, you know? So.
And I was like, half the time I was raised by like my grandparents, so there was a lot of like the resent I held for my mom and my dad. I was very often able to be like, oh, I get what, like they fucked you up, didn't they? Because I resented my grandparents a little bit too, and like I said, there's a whole world of forgiveness that, you know, it's yet to be explored. But like it was interesting seeing how, like, I understand why my mom and why her brother, my uncle, like operate the way that they do. It's like she just wanted you to shut the fuck up all the time. She didn't give you space to talk. No wonder when you found that room to talk, you employed that same kind of just like domineering, overpowering. Like, no, now it's my turn to talk, and you just like shut your kids up. Yeah, and it was a weird reflection to have on like the lineage of trauma.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I definitely feel like we've been able to, now that we understand more, we're able to extend those things to other people. Like even like houseless people. Like I work with houseless people now, but there was a point where I didn't have compassion. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's coming from a place of like understanding that we haven't always been educated in the way that we are now, and like just doing better with the new information that we have.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like understanding that like somebody's not lazy. I thought my mom was lazy. You know, I thought that houseless people were lazy. And then it was like, oh, okay, these people are struggling mentally. These people are struggling with substances. These people are struggling with abuse. These people are struggling with so many different things that like, if I don't give compassion to what they're dealing with, then it's like, it just doesn't allow for you to see people as people. You know, you see them as monsters, you see them as actions, you see them as, you know, so much less than just a full person.
Well, I think something else too, because you're mentioning like houseless people, is that the fact that the bottom is so low that you can go to, like, really aggravates it's bad for everybody's mental health, because like if you have like spiraling anxiety and the like what ifs, and then people are like, you're being irrational. And it's like, oh, really? I'm being irrational? Look at how people are having to live around me. That could happen. Like, it affects everyone's psyche and kicks in survival anxiety for everyone. Because it's like a reminder, like, that could, don't fuck up.
Yeah, if you
like,
don't keep up. It could be any of us if we didn't have the support or,
I think it's really bad for everyone's brain to see that all the time and be reminded all the time of like, this is how hard it could be. Don't fucking
don't mess up, otherwise you're with them.
Well, especially we talk the way like houseless people are stigmatized too. Definitely.
I think that, you know, conversations like this are the things that allow for there to be compassion and understanding of where everybody's coming from. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Tory. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your stories, sharing your stand-up. Give it up one more time for Tory Ward. That has been the Smoke Break. Thank you all so much for coming out. We will be here every last Saturday, and I will see you all.
We have merch for sale.
We have merch for sale if y'all want to buy some
T-shirts and hoodies.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
Yes, thank you all so much. Have a good rest of your day.